Definitely not the most beautiful setup in the world, but that is gonna be so nice to have. I think I pull out an extension cord probably like 10 times a week right now. And I was at Harbor Freight yesterday morning and I found that reel there. I was like, that'd be so sick to have on the wall. So we got a 40-foot extension cord reel, retractable reel. That's gonna be nice. I'm stoked. And it was like 60 bucks. It's a damn good deal. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am so excited to announce that we are finally starting the Fast Boy build on the Hyper Blue Evo 8. We have so many big plans for this car. And now that the Black Evo is done, the Black Evo 8 is finished with that crazy detail that we did, it's finally time to redirect a ton of time and energy and unfortunately a lot of money into the Blue Evo 8. Super stoked for this. It's gonna be quite a bit different, I guess you could say, versus how the Black 8 is set up, and it should be pretty freaking quick at the end of the day as well. There is a ton of stuff on this car that I'm going to need your guys' help on deciding on what exactly we are going to do, the direction we're going to take it, but we'll save that for a little bit later of a date. We'll discuss that later on. To start the series off, we're going to be pulling the motor out of the Evo 8, and it's going to be the first motor we've ever pulled in the new shop. We've been here for like 4-5 months, maybe even longer. I would probably say about 5 months though. And I don't think we've pulled a single motor yet. We've pulled transmissions, we've pulled transfer cases, but we have yet to actually pull an entire engine out of a car. So I'm super stoked for that. And I've never pulled the engine on the lift before. So I think the plan with the Evo 8, as of right now, is to pull everything. Crazy, I know. Engine, transmission, subframe, transfer case, pretty much everything that's gonna bolt to that front subframe, it's all gonna come out. I'm excited. There's quite a few little things I want to fix on the car in the engine bay as we go through this build. It has a really weird high RPM rattle, and it's like a super bad vibration as well. So I think that may have something to do with the balancer shaft. So we have to tear into the motor for that. Obviously, we're going to be building some parts of the motor, so we're going to have to tear into the motor for that. And we have a fatty turbo kit for the car as well. So it's been a long time coming. I was supposed to start this 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to start this Blue Evo build 2 weeks ago, and then of course the Black Evo took over my life for 2 weeks. So here we are, we're finally getting started. Well, let's get this thing all nice and cozy up in the air on the lift and we can tear it into it. It's gonna be a very, very long process. She's probably gonna be down for a few weeks, but it's okay, because when we're done with it, it's gonna be better than ever. Before we do anything, actually, here's a quick little look. Looks good on the outside, right? She's a good looking car. Pop the hood. Needs a lot of work, needs a lot of love. It's a lot better than what it was the day we got it, but it could still look quite a bit better. So, yep, let's do this thing, boys. Real quick before we dig into this thing, couple parts, if anyone has, right off the bat, this thing's a little floppy and broken. Headlight, non-HID, Evo 8, Evo 9, passenger side. This one is destroyed on the backside and she keeps leaking condensation and water. If anyone has one of those, hit me up, Instagram. I want it, I'll buy it. Let's just start by pulling a ton of parts off. Bumper's gonna come off. I don't want to destroy it. Headlights are going to be pulled off. Of course, the radiator's got to be pulled. All the fluids drained. Engine, tranny, transfer, all those got to be drained. This thing is freaking AYC, so we may have to drain the AYC as well. Wish it was not AYC. I wish this was a 5-speed, but this boy is a 6-speed. If anyone has a 5-speed swap, hit me up because we're probably going to destroy the 6-speed. All right, let's go ahead and do all the fluids right now. This is definitely the worst part. I hate dealing with any sort of oil or antifreeze. Antifreeze especially it's not my thing. One more part we need, good old intercooler. I don't know why someone spray painted ETS on a stock intercooler, but if anyone's got a fatty 3-inch, 3.5 inch, 4-inch, something along those lines, bang my line. While we're waiting for the engine oil to drain, we can go ahead and pop off this downpipe. We just pulled the intercooler pipe, so that's good to go. And then we're gonna have to pull the drive line as well, which is this guy right here. It connects from the transfer case, and he's gonna unbolt this carrier bearing here. So 4 bolts there, no bolts there. Actually, you know what? We can't pull this until we drain the transfer case. All right, so as of right now, we have the engine oil drained, the oil cooler is drained, oil filter was drained, then put back on just so it doesn't leak all over the place. Oil cooler lines off, downpipes off, intercooler piping, intake, all that good stuff is off. From here, let's move on to draining the transfer and the tranny, and then we can probably pull off the front wheels, start doing some suspension stuff. Actually, no, all that's gonna come off with the subframe anyway, lower control arms and whatnot. We do have to disconnect the brakes, and then probably move on to some wiring. This guy here is our transmission, 6-speed tranny. 5-speed's a little bit different as far as drain plug location goes. I believe the 5-speed's on the front. But this here is the fill plug. That right there is the drain plug. I highly recommend pulling out the fill plug first, or at least loosening it, just to make sure you can actually get it loose before you drain the gear oil. And it's gonna help with draining it as well, because you'll have a vented hole for air to go in as oil is coming out. Fairly similar concept with the transfer. So that bolt right there, that plug, is the fill, and this one right here is the drain. Let's move on to the worst part, which is the coolant. I cannot stand antifreeze. It makes a mess, and it's just weird. Let's get that bolt out, get this coolant drained, and we can pull the radiator. This time around, it actually went fairly smooth. I didn't get antifreeze all over the floor like I usually do. That was nice. A lift is very, very handy. Now let's see if we can manage the more difficult part, pull the lower radiator hose off without getting coolant everywhere. Not bad, not bad. Let's get the car down a little bit, get that radiator pulled out, and it's gonna give us all the space in the world. While we're down here though, I might as well unplug these guys. Upper radiator hose, bracket, overflow, and radiator will come out. I don't know if this is not the right radiator for the car or what's going on, but the mounts are like way off. That one's bolted on fine. That one's off like an inch. So that's probably a source of a rattle. And then even on the bottom too, that one is inside the little insert, and then this one is like 4 inches away. So I'm not sure if it's the wrong radiator. That definitely is an 8/9 fan and fan shroud. The radiator confuses me though. Everything else fits fine. Everything else lines up except for the fan. So we may have to do some mods there. We could easily just trim that off and have it welded on right there. And then over here, we could just pop this little tab off, slide it over, have it welded on there. But it kind of sucks because we just powder coated this fan shroud and it's all nice and pretty and I don't want to mess it up. We have so much more space now with the radiator out. Look at that cute little TME 6.5 turbo. Check out this core support. I don't know what the hell is going on. It's half plasti dipped, half blue. And then even down here, like, why is there plasti dip right here? Who plasti dips their frame rails, bro? That's whack. If you did that, you're whack. It's gonna be so beautiful when this thing's done. All right, my friends, let's move on to some wiring stuff. So we have two harnesses. One is like the injector harness and it goes through some other sensors as well. And then the other runs down to the starter and the alternator. Wiring on this thing is definitely something we need to focus on when it goes back together. We gotta have this thing superb, mint, very, very clean. It would be cool to do a wire tuck, but I don't know if I'm that good with electrical. If anyone has any tips or advice there, drop a comment below. Another part request, if anyone has power steering reservoir, this one's got a dent in her and I don't know why they RTV'd it. I'm guessing because it was leaking. So part request, bang my line. All right, we're making some really, really good progress. With this, I want to pull everything completely together. Every single thing that's going to come with the subframe. I want to have the wheels still on, axles connected, everything connected still. I don't know why that wouldn't be possible. And I think that it would just be such a beautiful sight to see the whole entire drivetrain on the ground. We would have to pull off the brake calipers and the ABS sensors and whatnot off of the hub. So let's pull off the front wheels, pop off the calipers, pop off the ABS sensors, and then we can start dealing with the motor mounts. Get the car on the ground, kind of lay under it, unbolt the subframe, and then lift the car, lift the car off up the subframe and drivetrain. Ah, that's gonna be sick. We have a few last little touches up top, but while we're down here, let's do some subframe stuff. Obviously, we're not gonna pull all the subframe hardware right now, but we can pull some. Let's pull like that one on both sides. We could probably pull off that one on both sides. We'll still have that main one right there, and then all the motor mounts holding everything together and the top hats of the struts. So there's still gonna be quite a bit. Definitely don't want this thing falling out when it's 10 feet up in the air. So we have the two underneath for the subframe, and then up top we're gonna have a motor mount here, a motor mount right here. We do have to disconnect the power steering. And what else? Fuel lines. All the wiring is pretty much done, I think. We'll have to disconnect the steering column from the steering rack. And then technically we should just unbolt the top hats, it'll lower down on the ground and we'll lift the car off of it. So to disconnect the steering rack on an Evo, you gotta go inside. I know on a Subaru, you can do it from the bay, but on an Evo, pop open the door, crawl up under here. If you look under the dash, you'll see right there, pull back that little black plastic cover, and under there reveals the 12mm bolt that we gotta pull out. So pop that bolt out, we'll be good. And of course, I'd recommend marking where it slides together just so you know how it goes. Let's pop those 2 subframe nuts off. Come up here, 2 motor mounts, 6 strut tower nuts, and technically it should fall out. There may be a few other little things that we missed, but I'm sure it'll be fairly evident when we go to lift the car up. That works too. Definitely was not anticipating doing I feel dumb. We should have definitely had something underneath the engine, but thankfully it felt like 1 inch, maybe 2 inches. So we'll be all right. Hopefully we didn't mess anything up. That's a lot of weight. Thank God everything was disconnected as well. Wow. So technically we should be able to slowly but surely lift the car up off the drivetrain. One thing we do gotta keep in mind is this thing's gonna be way freaking lighter in the front. So we gotta make sure this car isn't gonna fly off the back. Right. Do a little wheelie off the lift. So let's keep an eye on that and make sure we have no connected hoses or wires. I don't see anything. Yeah, I think we're good on the wires. Well guys, here she is. It's pretty wild. It's kind of fun looking. It's cool looking. I can dig it. I can appreciate it. The coilovers were hitting on the body a little bit coming out, so I pulled one of the bolts out and just kind of flung them outwards. Other than that, solid, good to go. That was fun. Pulling this whole assembly, it's probably the most fun I've had in like a few months. I love working on cars. It's so fun. Seeing this right here just makes me so freaking happy. The car does feel very solid on the lift still. Obviously it's a little bit light in the front, but I think we should be okay. I'll probably end up just pulling this whole entire assembly out and then get the car back on the ground. All right, let's clean up the shop a little bit. And I think this is a pretty good stopping point for tonight. Had a lot of fun doing this. It was actually a ton of fun. I'm excited to see what all goes down. I want to tell you guys everything that we have planned or like ideas, but I don't want to spoil it. Make sure you stay tuned for the series if you want to see how this thing turns out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out. I'll see you guys tomorrow.